Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Jacqueline Jax from Jax Watercolor, and this is our Spring Blooms monthly watercolor subscription palette. I'm really excited about this one and I can't wait to get started. If you haven't yet signed up, I encourage you to do so. These are so much fun to get in the mail, and they are handmade watercolors made here in the studio. You get paper and a beautiful brush, as well as a tutorial showing you how to use them. So this is such a cool palette. I love the way this one turned out. Maybe it's just spring, maybe it's just because I'm so ready for spring, I don't know. But it comes in this great little tin. We've got some beautiful, beautiful colors to swatch. Then we're going to be painting a really lovely loose floral, and probably some more along the way as well. If you want additional tutorials from me, though, definitely consider going over to jacquelinejax.com and checking out the tutorials. I have a bunch of classes available for you, as well as a Facebook group. So the Facebook groups is kind of fun. That's where I do more videos, tutorials based on your questions, and you can join me on live streams. It's really fun, and it's a great little community over there of people who have these palettes, you know. So in this set, you are going to get a 6 watercolor sampler, and this is a palette in a decorative tin made of honey. So these are professional grade, highly pigmented, no fillers, no binders. They are just pure watercolor. They are lovely. I think you will really enjoy them. And if you want to ask any questions, feel free to go into one of our Facebook groups and ask away. You will get tons and tons of advice from all of the members telling you how they love to paint with these, and I love to paint with these as well. So a lot of my tutorials are based on colors like this or watercolor quality like this, and I feel like I have to kind of say that because they do paint differently than the average watercolor out there. So if you're trying this with other watercolors, you can still use the techniques, but if it doesn't turn out exactly the same or it doesn't react the same, then paper, watercolor, and brush have a lot to do with it. You're also going to be getting a painted swatch card. This is on Fabriano paper, 300 GSM, so you can kind of test out this paper. This is a 50-50 mix, so it is 50% cotton. And you will notice a huge difference between that and the 100% cotton that I include in the kits. But you can use the back of this for sampling. You can use the front of it to put your swatches on. I mean, I would use every inch of the watercolor papers, you know. You'll also get a beautiful piece of Fabriano watercolor paper. Some of you might get Arch, Jax watercolor, all of them 100% cotton and 300 GSM. There's also a watercolor brush included, and I believe they were about 2 or 3 sizes that went out, all about the same. You'll have some like medium to small sizes and some medium to large sizes, I think, that went out in this kit. So everybody gets one watercolor brush every single kit now, every time we ship out. It's pretty cool. I've been doing this for, gosh, well over a year now, and it's been really exciting. We've had 2 springs, right? I think this is our 2nd spring. I remember a lot of the winter ones, and of course springs are so much fun to do. They really are. I love to look back at the old videos and see, you know, what we were doing last year this time, and it's really fun. But anyway, as spring unfolds and you need inspiration, I hope this palette brings you joy. I hope it really does, and I hope it brings you that magical something that you need in your life when it arrives. I know that I get so many letters from you guys telling me how excited you are when you see those pink envelopes, and that is just, you know, takes priority over everything. I'm so glad that it does. I'm so glad that the reason why I did this does bring you joy, because that's what my thought was when I designed it, was just so that you could look forward to seeing that pink envelope come, and you knew there was going to be some fresh colors in here, and we were going to sit down and have a cup of tea together or a glass of wine together and paint. And that's what it is, you know. It's all for that moment, that sense of community, and that endless way that we get to express ourselves. So this month brings a lot of color. You know, I know that we're getting a late spring start. Technically, I know here I haven't seen a lot of huge blooms. Just we've gotten some of our tulips have started to bloom, but I think that by the time you're done learning this lesson, you probably will see a lot more blooms. So let's get started, shall we? So to wet your watercolor, it's pretty simple. Just give it a drop of water. The watercolor that I create comes in pans, and it also comes in honey pots. I personally love the honey pots because they are just filled with goodness, you know, and it is a lot of watercolor that you get in these honey pots. All of them activate really easily with just a little bit of distilled water. You can use regular filtered water, but I highly encourage you to use distilled, just because if you're going to keep your paints wet, whether they're in your palette or, you know, anywhere, if you don't use distilled water, you could get mold in your palette. So always be careful. If you're going to let your paints dry out, then totally no big deal. You don't have to worry about that. I let my paints dry out mostly because I know I can reactivate these with water so easily. And look at how rich and beautiful that color is. This is a new one, exclusive for this kit. This is rose pink. Is it not just the perfect rose pink for flowers? I think it is. It's really pretty. So I'm going to wipe my brush off, and the next one is Crimson Rose. So pretty. Beautiful. Look at that. This is just a great spring palette, isn't it? I'm really excited about this. It turned out so nice. I remember when I was mixing all these colors and I was like, ah, I love it. I love it. So pretty. Look at that beautiful rose color. And then if you want to see like the lighter version, you can always back out a little bit of color here. And you can even add some drops of water and let it just kind of play. This is a good practice paper, actually. I used to sell this on the website. If this is something you're interested in, I mostly just sell the 100% cotton ones. But if this is something you're interested in, please let me know, because I do have these size cards that I mostly just, you know, only use them in the subscriptions. Here is Mystic Fuchsia. It's just such a hot color. I love it. It's so pretty. It's even more pink than I'm seeing on my video screen. So when you see this, it definitely has like a pinky purple with undertones of almost like a raspberry undertone, I guess. It's just really got like a fluorescence kind of in the pink part of it. It's a little, looking a little more dark purple on the screen than it actually is. It's probably my lighting. It's really pretty though. You're gonna love it. Let's get the yellow. This is Titanic Yellow. Two colors that I did put out in honey pots is Titanic Yellow and also Titanic Coral. This is a really rare pigment that is in this one, and I've never really seen it offered in too much. It's very hard to get a hold of, but I got a hold of some nice ones. So I made two colors in it, and hopefully I'll get some more. It's a really, really vibrant, warm yellow. It's really pretty. It should mix up with these colors so nicely. And then we have a Spring Sap, which I hope is this one. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Spring Sap. How can we go without a Spring Sap? Another watercolor that I've sold before on the site that I've been using a lot is Pickle. I love Pickle. It's kind of similar to this, but it's, I don't know, it's got like a little more boldness to it, I guess. I painted this with Pickle. See, they're close, but it's just a little bit different. So I used Pickle plus this one, which is Key Lime, and I really liked this, and a little bit of Jade Canopy for the dark foliage. Anyway, we did this tutorial in the Facebook group. So this is the private tutorial group where I post tutorials all the time on Facebook, and then you guys do them, and I can answer your questions in real time, which is pretty cool. So we just did that one, and that was really fun. But yeah, Pickle has been fun. This is kind of gonna be really fun too. The Spring Sap Green, I think you'll enjoy if you liked Pickle. And then Cayenne Green is a really, really bold bluey green that I've never done before. I love this color. This is the color almost of my room. Like my bedroom is in this color. I don't know why I've never made it in a watercolor, because it's one of my favorite colors. It's just so beautiful. It's so rich and bold. Okay, so there's our Spring Blooms watercolor palette. I love it. Which is your favorite? Are you excited to paint with all of them? So let's put this over here on the side so we can see it. I'm going to put my palette. I don't need this book. This is my sketchbook. These out of the way. Here's our little sample of what we're going to be painting. And let's just take a piece of paper from the kit and let's go for it. So to get this look, this is a very, it's good. There's a bunch of different ways you can approach it. I like to get messy with mine personally. I think it's really fun. You can do it so many ways with these particular watercolors. So I'm thinking maybe we'll try like 2 different ways of doing it just for fun. So I'm gonna split the paper. So hang out, have a little bit of wine and enjoy the show, because I'm literally gonna go kind of fast. I like to start with my yellows usually. Let me get my mixing palette over here. Okay, it's always dirty and I do not care. So I'm just taking some yellow. And we're gonna split the paper, right? And I'm gonna just start kind of going in and giving myself some fun little yellow splotches here and there and everywhere. Okay, so just a nice little start. Then we're gonna go to the next color, which is Crimson Rose, and I'm gonna go ahead and just do some little round rose patterns. And I want them to be really kind of like messy, just like this, because I don't wanna try and shape the rose just yet. We're gonna let the watercolor kind of go to work and get real soft on that. And I'm just gonna do some little loose mark making. There we go. Take the next color, which is the Mystic Fuchsia, and again we're going to try and bleed into some, but also just kind of get some really, really loose rose shapes. And you notice how I'm just kind of striking at it, right? And I find that this really does work to give me some neat little rose shapes. Center, and then I just kind of do some dots. Now, I look at roses more angular than I think the average person does, where some people kind of look at roses like it should be a crescent moon. I don't look at them like that at all. Like when I see a rose, I actually see angles. And I think that I don't know if that makes my rose better or not something you can relate to. I have no idea. Just, you know, do what really speaks to you. But you'll notice that when I do them, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing little triangles almost, right? Shaping the roses. and they lean in different directions. So now I'm taking some of the pink and I'm going in while this is still wet and letting that bleed around the outside and giving like these roses like more of a heavy shape there. Isn't this fun? I love doing it this way. I think this is so interesting and so fun to look at. And you might, you know, at first, it might seem like a big old mess, but this is one of those trust the process that I'm always talking about. Now this rose is sitting underneath, so if you notice, I'm just kind of letting some of it join and making it nice and big and fluffy. And then we just kind of touch some of the edges of these roses with the side of my brush. And my brush still has a lot of water on it with pink. And that pink just, I think the pink just goes in there and just makes it, you know? So now in any areas that feel a little messy, you know, like maybe they've combined too much, you can always take a little towel and you can go in and you can pull out some and let it dry. And then you can go back in and maybe grab some more details if you want. I like doing this because I like the texture, you know? I think the texture is kind of fun. So I can use the texture like background. Okay, so now that we've got that, we really should let it dry before we start adding green, because if the green touches by accident any of the pink, you're gonna get a different look. And you notice that like the green can actually do a negative painting effect if you do it really well. So I'm just gonna start adding some leaves in here, but I'm gonna try and not let them touch my roses, because if they do touch my roses, we're gonna get that bleed into the rose color. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, it'll just be kind of like a little less bright. Like, see, this color just bled into one of my pinks. So it just got a little more deep and deeper sap, which I think is fine, actually. I like it. Then we grab some of the other color. So I'm just using my brush, setting it down, pressing a little bit, and pulling it off. And that's just gonna make those really, really easy colors. And then I sometimes, because this watercolor, you can see how bold it is. Because it's bold, I can just dip my tip right in there and I can go back in and I can just do this, and it gives me those really, really nice little bits of dark color on my leaves. And I love that, you know? I think that looks so cool. That's how we get like the lights and the darks without really having to do much, you know? And then I dipped my brush into some water just to kind of give myself some lighter versions of these leaves. So then you can even mix the two together and kind of go in there as this is drying and do a little negative painting. See what I mean? Like in here, where you would need some green in between the roses, you know? And it would just be kind of like shaping out your roses. But make sure that this, before you do this stage, if you're gonna take that chance, make sure they're dry. Unless you don't mind, you know, them mixing in, which I kind of don't mind it, but I don't know that you'll want that everywhere. And this darker color I've given you to really be able to add a little coverage. So see how I can like really shape out some of my roses if I want to. It gives me the ability to go in and just give it some shape, you know. But I actually like it just the way it is, to tell you the truth. I don't even know that I want the background, but we're just doing it on this one just so that you can have some options. Okay, so there you go. So that's one of them that you can do. Pretty easy. And here's another one. So the other one, I'm gonna start with the pink, and we're gonna do a nice light version of the pink. And much like we did before, I'm just going to kind of go in a little circle doing these geometric shapes. And then as I go around the outside, I'm going to soften parts of my rose until I get what I'm looking for. So now we're going to take the other color, mix it in, add some water, and we're going to do that same thing. Since I have so much color on my brush and it's so bold, I'm actually going to go up here and do another one. And down here. And then we're gonna just take that water and build out that rose. So see, that's another way of doing it. Both are great. You're gonna have so much fun doing both. Here's another color. So up here, I'm gonna take some of my Mystic Fuchsia. Is this not like the prettiest color ever? And we're just going to build out some real soft florals. And maybe down here. So just some little mark making, you know? It doesn't have to make all that much sense, to tell you the truth, because you're dealing with flowers. You know, flowers are a lot of different shapes. So try to let yourself go and not, you know, and not be too strict with yourself as far as what you want these flowers to look like. You want to let them breathe. Let them breathe. Reckless abandonment. I'm going back and just touching some of this with some more color just to give it a little more depth, because I don't like things to be one color. Whenever they're one color, to me, you lose depth and dimension, because, you know, and watercolor is such a lovely medium to do this with. I'm gonna go ahead and start to bring in some foliage. And I want to use all the color that's on the brush, because as it wears out, you'll have that lovely background green, you know? And there, like, see, I touched a little bit of pink, but it looks lovely. And then once it's dry, you know, you can go back and give it a little shot of darker color like that. So the idea is just to fill your card with lovely color, and then go in between the roses and see what happens when you give it a little bit of negative painting effects. You know, can you shape the roses while making it not look like you've just colored around it? You know, can we give it that look of foliage just by stroking a little stroke on our brush? Give these roses a little bed to play in. Just adding some water here. Letting the water kind of take the negative painting in, you know? So two different ways to do it, shaping out that rose up there, kind of giving this a little support in a light way. and leaving that lovely. I'm gonna give this a little bit of give it a little bit of water, just so that it dries and has some fun. Look at that. Beautiful, right? So there we go. Should we add a little yellow? I don't think I added a little yellow to it. We can add yellow to this rose here. And add a little yellow to that one. And then let's just splash on a few little yellow marks within here, just to kind of bring that. So pretty. I even want to mix like a little bit of light color in here, just to get a little more shadow maybe. And you can even like partially dry it. So you can see how, well, the light is kind of shining in a weird way, but see how this is going now? It's really, really wet, and it's gonna continue to dry. But that's how you get this mix of colors. You see how you have like the lighter pink, and then you go back in, and we start to kind of add in just a touch here and a touch there of different colors, and then you let it like mix together. Maybe add a little water, subtract a little water if you want to brighten it back up. Like say it's mixing with some of your green and you don't like that, then don't be afraid of it. Just bring it back, let it dry, and then make another pass at it, you know. But you can, with my watercolor, because they are pure pigment, it's not a dye, you can remove color like this very easily. You can go in there and give it, you know, some more transparency. You can even do little shapes, you know, by removing color, and that's kind of really fun to do as well. But good watercolor just gives you so much flexibility, and it allows you to have so much fun, for sure. I know, I love it. Anyway, go and have yourself a good time. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I thank you so much for being part of our watercolor community. It is really just so lovely having you guys as part of this. And I really, really enjoy doing this with you. I've had a really good time doing it, and even with the little hiccups and the crazy little things that happen along the way, it is so worth it when we all get to sit down together and learn something new and have some fun with watercolor, especially great quality ones, you know? So let's keep going and make something beautiful today. I hope this inspires you. Don't forget to go on the group page and share it. I'll leave all the links below for everything that I've talked about, just in case you want to check it out, or you need a link to go directly to the Facebook group page. Have a great one, you guys, and happy spring. I will see you soon.